So you're looking at your credit report and you see something that doesn't look quite right. What do you do next? Well, today we're going to talk with Susan, who's going to give us some information about credit disputing. Let's get into it. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Dollars and Cents, Hapo Community Credit Union's financial literacy podcast. We are diving back into credit scores, credit reporting today, but we're going to get into a bit of a more specific topic, talking about kind of some credit myths, some information about credit disputes, and who may be good sources of information. We have brought one of those good sources of information on to the podcast today, Susan, who is a loan support processor here at Hapo Community Credit Union and has a regular working with the credit bureaus and the reporting agencies. You're going to give us a insight into some of the more common things that you get to see in your daily work with credit disputes. Tell us a bit more about your role here at Hapo, and then let's start talking about let's start with the negatives about who we shouldn't be listening to.
I've been with Hapo now about 4.5 years, come from a background of automotive and RV and boat dealerships, doing titles and accounting. And Hapo introduced me to the wonderful world of credit. And I am one of the very few people on my team who is actually excited about the credit and want to dive into it.
Did you get to do a lot of credit stuff when you were working with the auto dealerships? I know that auto dealerships, when you're applying for a loan through a financial institution like Hapo, but through, say, a dealer direct program at a dealership, there's a lot of hits to a credit report, checks on those things. Were you involved in that when you were working with the dealerships?
A little bit. I did do some finance duties with one-on-one with the customers, and especially at the boat store during COVID. Pretty popular place, but I mean, not too much other than that I would go through with people, and if they had questions about, well, where did my score come from? Why is my rate what it is? So I would go through with them, well, here's what I can disclose to you. Here's what I can't. And mostly I would just go through like their finance contract with them and explain to them, here's the terms of your contract. Here's the amount that you're financing at this rate. Here's your monthly payment. If you make all of these monthly payments paying this minimum, here's what you'll pay in interest for a grand total of. Yeah.
So this was kind of like your introduction to the credit side of things.
Kind of and on now the you've really side dove of it. Into now it. I'm on the back side of it.
So tell us a bit more about what the differences between what you were doing and then at the dealerships and what you're doing now as far as the credit processing side.
Well, on the Hapo side, we're getting the incoming apps, and in consumer lending, they're the department that they're making the decisions on approving the loans or not. Mm-hmm. My team's function is more on the title follow-up and credit disputes that come in, numerous other things. We have more than 100 tasks on our team. At the dealership, it's more a question of, somebody, you want to buy a car? Fill out a credit app, we'll submit, we'll pull your credit, and with that, we're going to shop you wherever we think we can get you financed. Primarily, they're just looking at the credit score, that number, because that number has the power to determine your rate and possibly your term, and can potentially impact what vehicle you purchase, because possibly you don't want to purchase a certain vehicle because your rate's going to be higher on an older versus a newer. There's a big impact to having that number.
And if people are interested in how that credit score number is calculated, we do have an episode where we spoke with some of our other people in loan support about how those credit scores are built and how they can be checked differently. So go back and check out one of the previous episodes to dive a little bit deeper into how credit score and credit mix is created. But now with your current position, now that they've gotten a number, they've decided rates, terms, et cetera, et cetera. When do you come into, say, my story if I have something going on with my credit?
So we'll get the disputes. Either we have members contacting us directly through our contact center. They may send us a letter, or they may be disputing directly with the credit bureaus, and the credit bureaus pass those on to us.
Okay.
They may be disputing anything from they think the account isn't theirs. They're questioning the balance, payment history, the account status. Maybe it's showing that you had a past due payment and they think that they did not have a past due payment.
Okay.
Any number of things.
So at this point, we're like, I didn't make that purchase. That wasn't me. This is fraud. And diving in deeper on those things. Well, then there's a lot of credit monitoring programs out there that can help people keep an eye on this. Is that where these are mostly coming from? People who are actively looking at their credit report?
A fair amount of the ones that we get directly in from our members are coming from members checking their scores off of Savvy Money.
Okay.
Or some other credit monitoring service. They'll get an alert that says, oh, there was an activity, your score has dropped, what have you.
Do you know what this activity was? Like,
right.
yeah, I
and
know.
so people will reach out to us, and one problem that we can have is that because the Savvy Money app is linked through our HAPO app, sometimes people will automatically think that because their score dropped, it has something to do with their HAPO account. That's not always the case. It could be someone else's. You have many other creditors on your credit report, most likely, and the drop can be from any number of things. I mean, you could have closed an account. You could have a late payment. You could have made a big payment and dropped the balance on one of your accounts. That all impacts your score. It's a very complex calculation.
Debt utilization.
Even the bureaus can't explain it, and I've asked. So yeah, there's a lot to it.
Okay.
But when those come in to us, we investigate each and every one of them because every member's concern is something that needs to be taken seriously.
Oh, of course.
And there are times that a mistake has been made, and if and when we find that, we will correct it and send a correction to the bureaus.
So what type of corrections are you guys sending out? Is this just I don't like that on my report and therefore please clean that off for me?
Absolutely not.
Darn it.
We are a state chartered credit union, and as all other financial institutions, we have to follow the Fair Credit Reporting Act, or the FCRA, which means we have to report your credit fairly and accurately. If you were truly past due on your account, we have to report you as past due.
Okay.
We cannot change negative reporting just because you don't like it. We cannot make goodwill adjustments. It doesn't matter how good of a member you've been, how long you've been with us.
Just overlook this
It doesn't matter the circumstances. If there was a true late payment, if there's a true issue that is not a financial institution or HAPO error, we cannot change that.
So is there a different, I guess the question that I want to ask is, how does that work with what are referred to as grace periods? So like that time between when your payment was due and when a fee comes on, like is that kind of a gray zone? Is that fair game where like, oh, no, I was a day late, but I didn't get a late fee, so this one should be wiped out, or how does that work?
So there's a huge difference between a late fee and being reported late to credit. Huge difference. Every loan has its due date, and there's usually a grace period with that due date, depending on what kind of loan you've got, depending on who your financial institution is. For instance, with a HAPO loan, we have a 15-day grace period. If you make your payment after that 15-day grace period, you will be charged a late fee, but you're not necessarily being reported late to credit.
Okay.
To be reported late to credit, your payment needs to be 30 days or more past your due date.
Okay. So if I'm like forgetting my payment because my phone reminder went off and it's a Sunday and I'm not awake yet because I'm sleeping in finally, and my wife is happily taking care of the dogs. And therefore Monday I forgot to make that payment. And so I make that one, then I'm not necessarily late to credit. And I might even be lucky enough to be within a grace period window to not receive a late fee.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. It all depends on your loan, your terms, and when you make that payment, when it gets posted.
Okay. So I know we're talking a lot right now about kind of the actual situation. We mentioned that some people might be showing up on your doorstep because of their own credit reporting. How many people do you get that you get to deal with that are just like, I listened to so-and-so's podcast, or this guy on TikTok said, this is how I need to go about fixing everything? Do you get that regularly where people are listening to social media influencers?
I haven't received that as part of the process. I haven't been told that this is why this person called in.
Okay.
What gets communicated to me is this is what the member's disputing. I did go down a little bit of a rabbit hole on our friend, the internet, and found a few people that, there's a lot of advice out there, and some of it's accurate, some of it's not. There's a lot of people out there willing to say, here's how to do it. You can fix your credit. The hard truth is those people, almost every one of them, they're out to make money.
Yep.
And they want to take your money, and they will do it happily for as long as you're willing to pay them. Some of the places charge a setup fee just to set up your account with them. Could be anywhere from $49 to $179 to set up that account. And basically what they're doing is gathering your personal information and pulling your credit.
Okay.
Then they will charge you a monthly fee. I was finding fees anywhere from $49 to $179 a month.
So beyond the setup fee.
Beyond the setup fee, they will now charge you monthly.
Okay.
Depending on who you follow, depended on whether there was a set time period that you had to subscribe or be a member. Some of them were month to month. Some were done as a full-on subscription service, like your Netflix. So obviously everybody's going to have a different cancellation policy. Some of them came outright and said guaranteed results or your money back.
Okay.
I would be particularly concerned about those because no credit company can remove negative reporting from your credit if it is accurate.
Okay. So
that's the key. If the information that's in your report is accurate, you don't have to like it. Here's my joke. Credit scores like your weight. Some of us may not like the number that we see, but it's not going to change and get better unless you do a little hard work.
Okay.
The only way to really fix your credit score, there's no instant or magic fix to your credit. The only way to improve your credit score, if you've got some negative reporting, is to make your minimum payments every month and get your past due amounts paid off as soon as possible. That's what's going to get your credit score to improve.
Yeah. And like there's a couple of factors that from previous episodes we've talked about keeping your debt usage, such as keeping your credit card usage at around, I believe it's 30 to 35% at most, making sure that you're making your payments on time. It doesn't matter what the amount of that payment is, just the fact that it's marked as, yes, you paid your thing on time. Right. And those are like kind of the basics of how to fix your credit. So knowing that those are some of the easy things that I can be doing, why am I going to go and spend $50 to $180 having somebody remind me that I need to make my payments on time?
Exactly. And everything that these companies are advertising that they can legally do, you can actually do yourself for free or no cost. Free or little cost, I should say. Mailing letters cost money.
Yeah, yeah, fair. Yeah.
So, yeah, there are certain things that the credit repair companies are not allowed to say. Again, they can't promise that they're going to make changes to your credit. Look for the fine print because it's probably going to tell you. A legitimate one is going to tell you that they cannot change accurate information.
Okay.
If it sounds too good to be true, it more than likely is. If you want to check a company out, find out more about them. If you think you've been scammed, go to the ftc.gov site and check it out. You can also go to reportfraudftc.gov, your state attorney general's office, or your state's consumer protection office for information.
And for people out there, that Federal Trade Commission is the group, which is ftc.gov, that is handling these type of things. All of those websites, fantastic resources to go check those people out and report anything that is sketchy. Be aware that a lot of these are probably going to be sketchy, but not sketchy enough to do something about.
Right.
Because they are doing legitimate business, and while their business isn't exactly great, you probably signed a contract or made an agreement with them to get into this, and they provided you a service, and they probably said that we can probably help you out. And if they do any good for you, okay, cool, but was it worth the price?
Right. And if you're seeing somebody I saw a guy on YouTube sitting in his car with his phone up on the dash, putting a video out, and the guy had thousands and thousands of views. So people are watching. This is some random guy sitting in his car spouting off what may or may not be accurate information, but people are following him. But he's not actually giving you the whole story in that video. He wants you to now, if you really want to know how to do what he's telling you to do, he wants you to click on his link and go to his YouTube channel. So watch out for individuals. Check what kind of credentials they might have.
Yeah.
What's their background? What gives them the knowledge, power, authority to be out spouting financial information that thousands of people are listening to? Just because people are listening to it doesn't mean it's right.
That is actually probably one of the best pieces of advice for social media content that people are consuming. Is I could go suddenly become an expert on astral orbits and be like, oh yeah, the Artemis 2? No, I could calculate that. That's easy. It just goes around the Earth a couple times, then shoots around the moon, which is current news, fun stuff happening. But that doesn't mean that my information is accurate, is correct. Right. It does not mean that I am a rocket scientist. I do not have those degrees or credentials.
You can read the articles and a title is just a bunch of words that you call yourself, but it doesn't mean you have the backup to support that.
Yeah. So before going in and just believing everything that you hear on social media, try and get some credentials for people. Now, granted, somebody could be giving really good, correct advice and not have credentials. But that is, again, like, if they don't, maybe validate with an extra source or 5 to ensure that you're getting good information. And if a financial influencer doesn't know the definition of the word fiduciary, maybe definitely don't listen to them.
Or if they can't pronounce it.
So what are some of the more consistent themes that you guys get to see for a consumer adding a dispute versus, say, an actual creditor adding a dispute? Because it goes both directions, right?
Not that I've seen. I mean, we're not going to dispute something that goes on the member's credit. We're not going to necessarily see how things show up on the member's credit. We can see how HAPO accounts are appearing, but we're not going to see anything else on their credit, or I'm not. So usually what people are concerned about in the disputes, one of the more popular is credit reporting is not real time.
Yeah.
Sadly, the bureaus. I mean, you've got your 3 major bureaus: TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. They're getting credit files every day from financial institutions all over the world. It's going to take them some time to process those files. Yep. Even with everything done digitally, it still takes time to run those files. So if you pay your account off in full or make a huge payment on your credit card on Monday, please don't go pull your credit on Tuesday and expect to see that balance changed. 99.9%, it's not going to be changed.
Yeah.
Because that's just the fact. It doesn't update that quickly.
Is there a general guideline for how long you should wait to see something like that show up on your credit report? Are we talking a couple days, couple weeks?
I'd give it 30 days because
30 days.
It's all going to depend on what kind of account it is, what your financial institution's reporting situation is, how often they report, what day of the month, do they report multiple times a month? And then you've got to give the bureaus a few days to, like I said, to upload the files and make the changes on their end.
Yeah, because if you're reporting paid off loans monthly and it's a financial institution, you're probably sending a couple thousand records for one financial institution per month. And how many financial institutions are there out there? There's more than a small handful, and each of them are sending in this data on a monthly basis. The number of records that are being updated and processed.
Yeah, it's a few.
I was a computer nerd for all of my upbringing. I have seen the processing time on importing data. Tens of thousands of records taking 5-10 minutes to actually get in and process. And this is going to be a lot more complicated data than most of the stuff that I was working with back then. So not shocking that it's going to take some time to process all of these files, all of this information.
Something else to keep in mind, too, is you've got 3 different bureaus. You get 3 different credit scores. That would be a good indicator that they each are calculating things slightly differently than each other. They're also going to display your information differently on your report. That's another kind of something that people will bring up is, well, this account is still on my credit. It is, but it says that it's paid. But this bureau says it's closed. Well, that's what this bureau means by paid.
Yep.
So this one says open or paid. This one says open or closed. There's nothing we can do about that.
Yeah.
But when somebody has a concern about it, we do want to look into that and make sure, because our financial institutions, we send a credit file out to all the bureaus, and now it's on the bureau's shoulders to upload that information accurately and correctly and get people's information right. And so if somebody is looking at one report and they say, well, Equifax is right, but TransUnion's not, let us know. And we'll look into why it's not. And if we find that there's a true error, we can submit an update, give it a couple of days for them to process the update, and then up to 30 days for you to see it on your report. And we'll see what we can do.
So with these type of reportings, like if I'm going and making a big payoff and I'm looking to see a bump in my credit score, probably the odds are I'm not just looking for a happy fuzzy feeling about my credit score being better. I'm most likely focused on that because I want a better credit score so that I can go get a better rate on an auto, which says to me, if we need 30 days for this to happen, that it goes back to one of the main themes that we have told people over and over on this podcast: plan ahead. If you are looking to make a big purchase, a mortgage, an auto, start getting your stuff in order early on. Be ready to wait an extra 30 to 60 days to go make that purchase if you're making big moves to adjust your credit score. Right. Planning ahead seems to be a major theme for big financial decisions, unless you're my father, who would think about things for like a year and then suddenly come home with a new car. I don't know if he spent his time actually organizing finances to prepare for that or not, but it never felt like he did. He would talk about things for a long while and then randomly come home with a thing one day. I'm assuming he was a smart man. He probably was doing all of his prep and planning and looking at things. He just wasn't telling me about it because I was a dumb kid. I am not sure where I want to shift us to at this point. What have we missed so far?
disputing your account does not guarantee results or an increase in your credit score.
Okay. We've gotten a little bit of that with.
I know that I had heard
word.
Probably 15, 20 years ago, it was the wise financial advice going around was, if you dispute something on your credit, if you don't like something, if you see something and you don't think it's right, if you dispute it, or call your lender and have a conversation with them about it, they can make a goodwill adjustment.
Yeah, and you've mentioned...
That's not the case.
Yeah, you've mentioned already goodwill adjustments. Like, just because you're a really cool person and we love having you as a member and you showed up with cookies today does not mean that we can make an adjustment.
No. No, we will do everything that we can to investigate, but we can't guarantee that we're going to make the change that you're looking to have.
Can you make like a note that says, this guy's really cool and he's got a really cute dog and it's very fluffy and let me pet it, so therefore you should like look over this thing? We're going to leave it on the credit report. Can we add notes to it?
No.
No? So fair and accurate does not mean extra fluff either.
No. Some of the other things people will be concerned about is that there's an account showing still on their reporting that was paid off 3-4 years ago.
Okay.
That kind of goes with the accounting. Reporting is not real time. But things will stay on your credit for 7 to 10 years after they are paid off or whatever the final arrangement is made.
Yeah, and the key to that 3 to 4 years ago account is that it's marked as closed or paid.
Right. And if it was paid off in 2024, that's going to remain on your reporting likely for 7 years from the date it was paid off.
Okay.
If you have a bankruptcy on your credit, if you have an account that was included in bankruptcy, that can remain on there for up to 10 years. And there's unfortunately nothing a financial institution can do about that. That reporting is up to the bureaus themselves.
With that being a bureaus thing, is that something that an individual can reach out to the bureaus to try and do anything further about, or is that kind of like certainly hoping?
I mean, you can contact the bureaus and they'll either answer your question or refer you to file a dispute.
Okay. And at that point, you're just kind of hoping that the dispute is going to go and get resolved by them on their side of things as well. And like with a bankruptcy, does it matter? And this may be too legal of a question to ask. Does it matter what chapter of bankruptcy was filed for how long it lives on the credit report?
That can kind of get into a legal. It will depend because typically Chapter 7. Usually the goal with Chapter 7 is to absolve you of all your debts. Now, that doesn't mean that those debts go away per se. There's potentially still a balance going to be showing on your credit, but it's going to show that balance was included in your bankruptcy.
Okay.
Chapter 13 typically is when some sort of a payment plan is made to pay off the balance. And so that can obviously linger around longer because you're making payments over a particular amount of time. So
that makes a lot of sense.
That might linger a little bit longer. That, you filed in year 1, your payments were completed in year 5. That may still be on your credit 10 years from that final payment in year 5.
Gotcha. So that one could end up extending beyond because the account was paid off as of that 5th year, and then that account is going to stay on your credit report for X amount of time after that.
Everything is individual, subject to change. Yeah, there's specifics to every person's situation. No two people's account situations are the same.
How does this interact with, say, joint credit or applying for credit jointly with somebody else? Is my credit report unique to me as opposed to, say, my wife when we apply for a mortgage together? Say something horrible were to happen, we get divorced. Am I going to need to put some sort of a dispute on there and be like, nope, she's got the house now? How does that behave?
That's excellent, because that's one that I wrote down too that we get, is that somebody will say, well, I'm not responsible for this. We're divorced. The wife's got the car. She's supposed to make the payments. Mm-hmm. As long as your name is still on the loan, you are still financially responsible for that debt. That can kind of, depending on what state you're in and your situation, that can definitely, this kind of starts to enter a little bit of a legal situation.
Of course.
But primarily what I see is divorce is a civil situation that does not enter into a financial institution's operations. Mm-hmm. You and the ex signed an agreement taking on this debt. This debt is yours until it is paid off. You may have a divorce decree that says this is the other person's, but if that other person's not making the payments, it's going to impact you as well. Whether they make the payment or not, it's either negatively or positively affecting your situation. The only way to resolve that is to refinance and have your name removed from the account.
Yeah.
And depending on what kind of account is going to depend on what that refinance situation looks like. But whoever the remaining person is to be on that loan, first and foremost, that person's got to qualify for the loan by themselves.
And then I do believe that, like, even in a situation without marriage, just joint credit, if me and a buddy were decide to go in and buy a clubhouse up in the mountains because we want to go snowmobiling regularly just from this one specific spot, and then we decide we don't like each other anymore, or I decide that snowmobiling sucks or something and decide that I'm out, it'd be the exact same scenario.
Yep.
Which is why divorce in and of itself doesn't really play into the actual credit side, the credit score, the actual impact to your credit reporting.
Right.
I would have to come to the conclusion with my friend that, okay, we need to refinance this. You need to take on this loan on its own because I'm now out of this scenario.
Right. One of the things a divorce can afford you, though, is that legal backing that you can legally pursue the other person to meet their obligations. So if the car is awarded to the wife and she's supposed to make the payments, but she's not, the husband can take her to court, potentially. That's one protection, I guess, or advantage of being in the divorce situation. But it's something that has to be handled outside of the financial institution. You know, that isn't your lender's issue that things didn't work out between you. You're still responsible for the loan. Either you can, if you don't want it to negatively impact you because the other person's not making the payment, either you start making the payment and you go do whatever you need to do to collect from the other person, or it's going to negatively impact you.
Yeah.
I mean, there's kind of two choices. Either make the payments or don't.
And either way you decide to go is, like you said just a second ago, going to benefit or not benefit you in the long run.
Right.
We keep boiling this down to, in my opinion, some pretty simple statements. Like, credit in and of itself is not complicated, but it can definitely feel that way. Make your payments on time. Take a look at your debt ratios. If something isn't reporting correctly, because you should be taking a look at your free credit report, go use a tool like Savvy Money, pull it every now and again, take a look at those things. And if you see something that's weird, then bring it up, have a conversation, because you don't want something on your credit report that is inaccurate, that is negatively impacting your score and your ability to do the things financially that you want to do. Do you have any final advice that you'd like to lay out for people before we start to close up?
Yeah. You are entitled to receive a free copy of your credit report annually. Mm-hmm. You can go online to annualcreditreport.com or call 877-322-8228. You can also go online and reach out directly to any one of the three bureaus and request through them. They'll also provide it. Look over each of the reports, notice that there is a format difference between them. If there's something you question, don't understand, reach out to your financial institution and ask questions and have them explain to you or look into it. That's what we're here for. That's what we're happy to do. I'm happy to do it anyway. Understand that disputing doesn't mean that it's going to be removed or changed from your credit, but it does mean that we are going to look into it and we're going to ensure that things are accurate for you.
Fair and accurate.
They may not be what you were hoping for, but accuracy matters.
I went to the gym this morning and I'm still not down the 30 pounds that I want to lose. But I did go to the gym this morning. So there is that. Like you mentioned, it is like I'm putting in the work now. So eventually I'll get there, hopefully. It depends on dinner.
Another thing to keep in mind is if you're running into a situation where you're not able to make your monthly payment on your loan, your credit card, reach out to your financial institution, have a conversation, explain the situation, find out if there are any options available. Here at HAPO, we have skip-a payments that may be an option to help you out in a short term. There may be other tools available. We won't know how to help you or that you even need help unless you reach out to us. But that's what we're here for. We're here to help you succeed with your finances.
Yeah, we want to see people succeed with their finances. We have the free financial coaching. If anybody has questions about how to move forward with repairing your credit and not wanting to sign up for a silly program online, come have a conversation.
You a lot of money.
Yeah, come have a conversation with one of our financial coaches. We have, I think we're in the range of 130 some odd financial coaches. And that is free to HAPO members and non-HAPO members. Give a call, set up an appointment just to go over it. Talking with our asset recovery team. If you are having problems making your payment or you think you're going to, what we've learned from talking with them is that the sooner you make a call to have that conversation, the less damage you're going to do to your financial outlook, to your credit score, because they can do a lot of things to help you out before the problem becomes a problem.
Right.
Because nobody wants people to have financial problems out there.
Nobody wants to have financial problems.
That as well.
And I get it. There's definitely a pride factor. No one wants to admit that they're having money problems. But you've got to put that aside and decide what's more important, your pride or your credit.
Do I want to have worse money problems and save my pride, or do I want to go have a conversation and cut this off at the pass?
So you can be proud of your credit.
Exactly. There we go. Thank you so much for coming on, talking credit disputes, credit scores with us today and with all the people out there. And until next time, this has been Dollars and Cents, HAPO Community Credit Union's Financial Literacy Podcast. See you later.